Welcome back to the CHG podcast, everybody.
What's up, guys?
There he is. We're
I'm
back. We're
actually
back
I'm
at it.
actually home now.
Yes, he's home. Wait,
I know we promised you guys in person stuff,
yes. Oh
but
man.
Southwest
So,
sucks.
oh
So
man, it was. I don't think it's just Southwest, but I have heard Southwest in particular
I mean,
was a bit of an ass wipe.
like some of the airlines were like a couple hundred flights, which sounds big for over the holiday season. Southwest was a couple thousand
Okay, yeah, I
flights.
did hear because I had a
So
coworker. I had a coworker who was flying from here to California. No, California to Reno, and her flight got canceled too, and she was stuck. And I think her mom was stuck or something too. Um, yeah, so and she was mad because this doesn't even affect us. It's California, Reno. We weren't even in the shit. So like, why
yeah,
are we getting affected? And so, anyways, so what happened, guys, was so yes, we did promise a whole bunch of it. I know I was talking about on my streams. So excited for all that shit. What happened was he was supposed to him and his wife supposed to be here, the week the Thursday or Friday before Christmas weekend, and they were on their flight. They were on their plane. They were flying. They got to Washington. They got within state limits.
yeah, we were
They
in
got within.
Washington,
They got within city limits. He said he was an hour within landing, and they had to
which I
turn the
mean.
plane around.
Which in plane time, I might have been in Washington. Planes travel fast, but yes, I
That's
was
true.
within an
That's
hour
true. He
of
was close.
CPAC, and they turned us around. And then I spent
Yes.
then we got back to
Well,
Denver,
well,
Colorado.
well. Hold on, hold on. Well, so the reason why they had to fly. Okay, this part made sense. Like any airline probably would have done the same thing. They had to turn around because in around this time, my state was having a particularly really cold week. It was like ice
Yeah,
everywhere,
yeah. The
and
airport,
the
the
runways.
CPAC was frozen. Yeah,
Yeah, the runways were frozen, and so the planes could not safely land and stop. He said, was it your son, your brother-in-law, or someone said that another plane recently had flown into my state and they barely were able to stop.
yeah. The last
Uh,
one apparently, the last plane to land had a lot of hard time stopping. So
yeah, so
I mean
obviously,
that one was weather related. The rest of these cancels with Southwest, although it hasn't come out and really like they haven't said it, but it's or at least I don't think they have. But it sounds like it wasn't just weather related. It sounds like their system like just went
probably
up in
yeah,
flames.
logistical issues. It could have
Yeah.
been they were also short
So
staffed with
so
it.
we were stuck in Denver.
So
We
yeah,
tried to
he had to
fly.
fly back to Denver. He had to fly all the way back to
We
his
tried
layover
to
state in Denver.
we tried to the next flight to Washington was like on the 26th or 27th. So we were like, fuck it. We could get a flight back to Lubbock, Texas the next day. So we did that. Went in at 5 p.m. Waited there until like 9:30 p.m. and then that flight got canceled. And then instead, one of our friends in Lubbock offered to drive the 8.5 hours to Denver on Christmas to come get us. So that was cool. And then the day after we got home, heard from my brother who was trying to fly back on that same flight to Denver, back to Washington, and their flight got canceled on the 25th. So then I had to get a car and drive up and pick up his family. So that was my Christmas.
So he basically missed Christmas because a lot of family was coming into Washington,
Yep.
or they already were here. So he
Yeah,
missed
some of
Christmas
them
with his
made it
family.
before. Yeah, the
Yeah.
people who had left like the week, like 3 days before us, had all made it.
So he basically missed Christmas with most of his family because I think most of them were here in my state. And then basically, he had a New Year's. Like apparently, he had somewhat of a New Year's with some friends. But yeah,
Then
the
my
big
wife got
holidays. His wife's sister. I'm sorry, his wife's birthday. Basically didn't celebrate that with her family because her family's mostly here as well in the state. So shitty time, real
yeah,
shitty time for them. Not for sure. I can only, it makes me think because Southwest obviously is one of the cheaper airlines out there amongst like the big
yeah,
names, right? Obviously,
yeah.
it's not the cheapest. There's like
It's the cheapest
Frontier,
of the big
Spirit.
guys.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I wonder how it is for those like Frontier, Spirit, like the real budget
I don't
airliners.
know. I don't
I
know.
can only imagine the. Oh gosh. Anyways, yeah. So it's been. I mean, you guys have, who are at least in the states, you guys probably heard the debacle, the shit, crazy going on with the airlines last couple of weeks. So they got caught in it. So I guess it's if they come back next year, they either coming back a lot or coming here earlier or later.
Yeah.
They're not doing
Yeah.
this shit Christmas week again.
Yeah. We're not traveling in the holiday season anymore. We'll come some
Yeah.
other time.
Yeah.
But anyway, but now I'm
Earlier
here
or
and
after.
we're back at it. So
Yeah, so sorry about that, but we got to see Fiery on the channel, special guest Fiery. So you guys had a lot of fun with that. It was a lot of fun to talk with her. Probably bring her back on again. We had a really good rapport. Oh, there's Serena. Speaking of the devil, so yeah, we're going to talk about what we've been playing, what we've been doing. So I don't have as much to go off this week. I'm trying to wrap up F1. I did all the single player stuff. I'm just waiting. I had to buy another copy so I can do the online and self boost that because that'd be faster than trying to wait for someone to show up and hopefully be like, "Hey, I can help you." I already have two PS3s. I have two TVs. I'm just gonna fucking do it myself. So waiting for that to come in. It'll come in later. I think earliest to be on Saturday or Sunday. So since I'm waiting, I've been downloading some other PS4 games that are on my backlog, and I downloaded two. One of them was called Blackberry Honey, which I so it's a visual novel game. I thought it was going to be hella raunchy, which is the only reason why I fucking downloaded it. Because the picture that they had was like two anime chicks like getting some neck on each other, and I'm like, oh shit! So I'm like, let's see what the debauchery about to get into this. There was no fucking debauchery. I was so mad. Um, I mean, it does tell a story of like two women, two maids in this manor who fall in love, but which actually wasn't so bad because I haven't played a visual novel in like 5-6 years, and the last one I played sucked. But this one actually wasn't so bad because it also wasn't that long, which is nice. But like the story they were telling wasn't too bad because yes, you have like your main chick, and then she eventually finds this older woman who she ends up falling in love with. But in the meantime, there's like the daughter of the manor who is a crazy brat, but like you actually get to start getting some not personality, but some backstory behind her about, I mean, it's all typical shit. Like, yes, she's a brat up to hell, but like, it's one because she feels that everyone hates her. And so, since she thinks everyone hates her, she's going to be hateful towards everyone else as well. So, there's actually some more realer moments between her and the brat a couple times in the story, which I'm like, oh, that's actually nice. Like, it's actually more than one dimensional hatred. So, that was cool. And then you had her fighting these other two maids that she works with that hate her too. And so you have all these different conflicts. So I was like, it's kind of nice, but it does end really quickly. It took me like 3 hours to get through it, which is typical visual novel thing. And then I downloaded the Artful Escape that came out, I think, last year. An indie title. Which again, it makes me just keep thinking about this conversation we need to have about indie titles, but that's we'll put that to the side. This game was fucking awesome. It was fucking awesome. I need to play it with Travis. So it's basically about some guy. I don't know if you remember it, David. Maybe you saw it, but didn't really think about it. But it got good reviews when it came out. So it's about this kid, not really kid, but young adult guy. And he is the uncle of a famous folk singer, which absolutely 100% is ripped off of Bob Dylan, um, down to his hair and everything. So, and Bob Dylan was known as one of the greatest folk musicians of all time. So he's the uncle, right? And he lives in some little sleepy town, I think in Colorado or something like that, called, that doesn't matter. And he's having a concert pretty soon, and like the next day from when that game starts, and like the whole town's excited. It's like the most buzz the whole town's gotten in a long time. A lot of people are looking up to him for this. But the thing is, he doesn't really want to play folk at heart. He wants to fucking shred. He wants to shred and go crazy, play that metal, play that space opera, David Bowie shit. Um, that's what his heart really calls out to him. And so, like the night before he's supposed to go, these aliens come down and they're like, we need you. And he's like, what? And so they're like, we need you. You need to talk to Lightman. And he's like and Lightman ends up being some old school black guy, like Jimi Hendrix style, just without the crazy hair, but like just some old black guy. And so he's like, no, man, we need you. And you go on some just fantastical fucking journey, all this crazy art and psychedelic shit. And it's just, but like the whole time you can just shred on your guitar as you run. It's like a side scroller, but you just run and jump basically. It's not like Metroid or anything, but it's just like a side runner scroller thing, and you can press box or X to just shred. It literally says press box to shred, and you just shred as you're running to wherever your next destination is. And but the story it's telling is really cool. It's really nice, really relatable, and it's also not that long. It's like 6-8 hours, maybe not even that long. And then halfway through, you could change your clothes, and you could. I made them the fucking 80s. I got the jumpsuit, the shoulder pads, everything. Just Travis needs to fucking play this game with me. This game is like literally fucking made for him. So I'm gonna try to get him if he can find time between his 2 kids and his job and everything to play this with me, because he's just gonna lose it. So I played that, finished that, and then I just started up Get Even, and fucking hell, this game, man. So this game came out like in 2017, like 5 years ago. It had a bit of controversy because it was coming out around the same time I don't remember some tragic world event had taken place, so they actually pushed out the release date to pay respect to that incident that happened. This is a game where the story is great, but the mechanics around it are all ass. They're just fucking garbage, man. Just garbage. It should just be a walking simulator. That's what it just should be. It should be a walking simulator where you manipulate with the environment, and you let the story play it as it, because the story is really, really cool. You play as a detective, and you find yourself in an asylum, and you have this guy talking to you kind of like old BioShock style, and he's leading you to these different pictures, which lead to memories, because you wear this device that allows you to access memories. They're usually your memories that you forgot, or someone else's memories that you have a part in somehow, even if you don't remember how. And so you go through these memories and you start figuring out, you find all these evidence and clues in this self-contained memory to figure out what part of why you were involved in this. And your captor is doing this because he lost his daughter, and you're involved with the loss of his daughter, and he's having you do all this so he can try to put the pieces together, figure out what happened to his daughter and why did it happen. Because she's already gone. You can't save that, but he wants to just know what happened because he feels like he failed in preventing it from the beginning. So he's trying to figure this out after the fact, and he needs this detective to do it. That sounds fucking awesome. And it uses all this tense music and these little, sequences and everything. It's really cool, but it wants to make you do fucking stealth shit in first person shooter shit. And I'm just like, why? It doesn't fucking work. You guys don't know how to do this right. You know how to make a story. You know how to make a character and manipulate with all these things in the environment. Just do that. I don't need all this other bullshit when you don't know how to do it right. So it's just aggravating me to no fucking end. But the story is enough to keep me going, and I think I'm almost done with it. But then I'll go back because there's like all these memories you can go find if you missed it, to fill out the whole thing, to get the whole picture. But yeah, that's that. It's fucking. Have you ever played a game like that? Have you played a game that story was good, but the other shit around it was not good?
We talked about this before. I don't.
This isn't a bad game. It's not a bad game. It's not a bad game. If I actually looked at Metacritic, it has like 70s. It's not a bad game, which surprised me. I thought it was a bad game, but no, it's actually a decent game. It's just these mechanics around it aren't really good.
But no, I literally can't remember, and maybe it's just I don't ever remember them. I don't ever remember playing like. I mean, I remember playing some bad games. Like I played. Me, I'm struggling with names. I played the one that was the like kind of like prelude to some of these like more kinetic shooters where you can like free run and jump over shit. But it was online only. It was like the very first
Brink?
multiplayer. Yeah, Brink. Okay, so I played Brink, and again, I guess that was a game that, like, if they would have put more into it, I think it would have been good because it was a cool concept for a shooter. But yeah, it just didn't work. And then I played the game that was like an MMO on the systems that was linked to a TV show.
Oh,
Sci-fi.
Defiance.
Defiant.
Defiance.
To play
Or
Defiant
Defiant.
for
Yes.
like 3 days and gave up on that. And like, but then again, those ones aren't like, I don't like Defiance. I don't think had any kind of redeeming qualities. I heard the show wasn't that bad for like a B tier sci-fi show, but the
Mm-hmm.
game was terrible. Um, but yeah, those like other than that, like I don't know, like I played this
That's close
game.
enough. I'll take
Yeah,
it. I'll take
I
it.
guess
I'll
so.
take it
Yeah.
because it's like I mean, I remember. Okay, those games are objectively worse than Get Even from what I remember, but they are both games that are surrounded by a cool concept,
Yeah.
but then like everything else falls flat. Because I mean, how many like, and I think both of those came out at the wrong time. I think they came out too early because you have a game, you have like an MMO style always online thing in the PS3 360 era, which that wasn't really common yet. If they had done that like now or like a couple years ago, it probably made it held a little bit more water. But at the time, yeah, it was just like, what the fuck is this? Like,
Yeah, it
just give me
should.
Call of Duty. Like,
Yeah, I think what they were
um,
trying to do, honestly, was like the PC market on MMO games back when it came out was so
mhm.
saturated. Like
Yeah,
you had,
yeah.
you had WoW was still going big, Star Wars was big, Star Wars had just started to be big. So there was a lot of MMOs on the PC, and they were like, "Well, there's no MMOs on the consoles. Let's do that." And
There's a reason why.
yeah, there's a reason. But
I mean, there's still not that many today. I mean, there's some now, like Black Desert Online, Final Fantasy 14, ESO, of course.
I
I
would
mean, so there are a
I
few,
would
but
argue that that see, man, I'm terrible with names right now. This one's recent. The game that was from the Halo creators. Um,
Halo Create Destiny.
Destiny. Thank you. I would argue Destiny is an
Yes.
MMO.
Oh, people describe it as an MMO.
Oh
I
yeah.
believe.
So like
I think people
that one's
describe it as
pretty.
one.
That was probably the most successful MMO on a console. I would argue.
Mm, I mean, it depends on what we're deeming as success. If we're deeming as just dollars, probably maybe. But I don't know, man. Final Fantasy 14 and ESO have been going for some long
Yeah,
time.
Final Fantasy 14 for sure. ESO, I think even like with peak players, like I don't think it touches.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, definitely Final Fantasy 14. That game, it actually won. I think this past year's continuing game is whatever award that was called this year or last year. I think Final Fantasy 14 won it. Um, so I mean, that game is old now. That game old.
yeah, it's been
But yeah, in Defiance, I mean, yeah, it's a game based off a TV show. Like what? I mean, it's a cool idea. Like on paper, I
yeah,
mean,
and
that
like
does sound pretty fucking cool.
in game events, depending on like what happened between the factions,
Hmm.
would determine the events of the show.
Yeah,
So that was kind of like a cool concept. So if like your
which I
faction
think
won, then in the TV show they would reference that event. Uh,
Which I mean, like, I think that's cooler, but I think it would have been easier the other way around.
yeah,
I because I think that's a bit
but
too
I think
on the fly.
they wanted the
But
players to have like
no, but I get it. I get it. I get it. I'm just saying it's a bit tough for a
yeah
TV show to try to do that. But anyways, but I get it. So I guess it's close to the same. But yeah, just Get Even is just it's a frustrating experience. But it reminds me of Deadly Premonition, to be absolutely honest with you, where the story is good, but the mechanics on everything else is just not really good.
yeah
Um, but granted, this isn't an RPG, so this is much shorter. Thank God. thank JC upstairs, man, because I don't know how much more I can take of this fucking game. But yeah, that's it for me. What are you playing?
I am playing Pokemon Soul Silver. It's
Is that all you've been playing?
pretty
Is Soul
much yeah.
Silver?
I kind of got back on Call of Duty, but like I think it's because I've been off of the multiplayer. Like I haven't played a multiplayer online competitive game in like a year or more. Like it's been a really long time.
when did you play MLB last?
Okay, like MLB. Okay, okay, multiplayer shooter then.
Oh, okay.
It's been about a year, maybe less, maybe more like 9 months, but it's been a long time. So I got my brother-in-law. We game share, so he had bought it. So I was like, I got this holiday break. Let me download it. Let me play it because I was playing my brother's game, my brother's house, and he just like handed me a controller, and I popped off for like I think I like 2 games. I had like 5 kills above death. So like I was like, oh okay, like that was fun. Let me download it. I downloaded it. I've been playing it. I don't know. Back in the day, I could go like all day playing just round of Call of Duty,
He sure could.
two, round after round. And then even recently, like I could play all day Apex and grind out some Apex. I get like 3 games in, and I'm just like, I don't want to play anymore. Like it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I was doing good. I think I have a positive KD for all my games, but I don't know. I just not playing it that much. But what I have been playing a lot is Pokemon Soul Silver on an emulator on my phone. On my phone that folds in half. Yeah, fuck, look, so cool. Anyway,
like a Game Boy SP.
Exactly. So I've been playing Soul Silver with a healthy, not a healthy amount. I've been cheating using some cheats. Things like to encounter Teddy Sora,
Teddy Ursa.
Teddy Ursa, whatever. Teddy Ursa, fast because it's really hard to encounter him early game. So I was just like, screw it, and I just auto encountered him, and Houndour also auto encountered him, and then I was using like save states at game corner so I could cheat the game. And I don't know what you looked up. I looked after. There's no way to buy coins in that place. There isn't. I don't know. I don't know if it was on another version or in the original one you could, but you can't in Soul Silver.
I keep forgetting you're playing Soul Silver.
Yeah, but something I discovered by also save stating during the Elite Four battles is interesting. I don't know if you knew this. So, and it's because in a normal Pokemon game you can't save in the middle of a battle, so you wouldn't discover this. But let's say I start a battle, right, and I pick Thunder, so I use Thunder to attack. So I save state before, like at the beginning of the battle, and I use Thunder as my first attack, and it misses, right? Because Thunder has a 70 accuracy, so it's kind of a hit or miss kind of thing. I reload that save state. Do you think, how many times do you think I would have to reload and pick Thunder for it to hit?
Well, it's not 50. Not that many times, I imagine.
Infinite. It will never hit. It has already decided upon loading
interesting
what each attack will do. So like it's literally like it goes both ways. So like I'll save in the middle of a battle, and like sometimes depending on the health of my character, they will always the opponent will always miss their attack that they're attacking with, and they'll always use the same attack. But if they miss, it'll always miss. If an attack crits, it'll always crit. Not only that, but like I can, through scripting, play out the battle the exact way that I know. So I know every attack depending on what attack I put in, what attack they'll do next, and so on. So like I went through the whole battle with Lance, save stating my way through to where like I could do it from the very beginning to the very end and know exactly what attacks, when to. So like there'd be times where I knew that I was going to miss the attack, and with all of them, like I tried all of them, they all missed for whatever reason. If you use double team or whatever, so instead of attacking, I just used a heal item and prolonged the battle, and then save state and tried each attack to see what the optimal outcome was, and just that's how I beat him. But it's funny that like it's not really like it's not a dice roll every time. like I don't know how it does it, but like it dice rolls before, so
Yeah.
it's always done,
From
which
what I've
kind of like stole the magic just a little bit, but I try not to think about it too much.
well, from what I've have you ever seen any of those Did You Know Gaming? Did you ever watch any of those?
Yeah, I've watched it.
So I've seen some of those on Pokemon and like old Nintendo games, and from what I've kind of gathered, a lot of those early developers in that era. Well, I guess Soul Silver is a little bit after that, but still, uh, one thing I learned is that with limitations in hardware or whatever, or just to get something, just make sure something happens easily as possible. For the developers not to worry about it, they have all these codes put in, like these evaluation codes or hex codes or whatever like that, that get determined when something is done right then and there. And I haven't heard them talk about attacks and battles, but I've heard it in other things where like a value is assigned as soon as you do X or whatever. The game just
Yeah,
assigns it. There's nothing you could do about it. So I imagine what you're saying now, apparently it seems
probably
that
something like
when you
that.
when you start a battle, after you choose an attack, there's a value that probably just then gets set for the opponent to use something in accordance to that. So yeah, it's not dynamic. It doesn't seem like it's not dynamic at all. Is this code put in distinctly depending on what attack you might use on them, and it just
Yeah,
assigns that code. And if it stays stating, well, then yeah, that code has been assigned then as soon as you pressed it, so it's not going to change.
yeah, it's just
So it's
interesting.
interesting.
I found it
No, it's
interesting.
very interesting. But it kind of makes me back some of the videos that I've watched on what devs have had to do with like code and values and stuff like that. Like way beyond my head, but that's about the most I can probably grasp from it. But yeah, I mean, it's just what they got to do sometimes. Could you imagine like for that hardware, like at that time, like having to be completely dynamic, like absolutely
Yeah, I mean,
dynamic, like
I just
that'd be
assumed
wild.
that every time they just there was some kind of digital
Hmm.
dice roll depending on
Yeah,
your stats,
yeah.
but yeah, apparently not.
It's pretty. It's what's wild. I mean, I think I actually ended up realizing that it might have been against Lance or something. Like I don't know Gen 1 or Gen 2, but like there was this one point in time where like it's either against his Aerodactyl or his Gyarados, where like I kept doing the same thing, but then I decided, what if I did something different? And then something different did happen, and I was like, huh. That's interesting, but I was too young to really be like, "Oh, what's going on behind the code?" Or I was just like, "Oh, okay, I did something different. Something different happened." Um, yeah. So So you beat Lance. So are you the champ now? Are you the champ?
Yeah, I'm the champ, and
Oh yeah,
I'm
Lance is the champ in that game. You're
yeah,
right.
I'm
Yeah,
like the
he's the champ.
I'm at the second gym in the Kanto region for the
Yeah, in the
Johto whatever the
Kanto,
Kanto region.
Kanto.
Yeah.
You're back in Kanto, back where you belong.
Yep.
Yes, yes. Oh, Gen 2, man. I think Gen 2 is my favorite Gen.
Yeah, I mean, it has two whole fucking games inside
Oh,
of
how
it.
do you not
Like,
do that going
it's
forward? Like, how do
crazy.
you not just keep doing that? You know what I mean? Like, there's
Why do
no
that when you can
excuse.
sell DLC
Well,
for
no, like they didn't even do it with Gen 3.
Iron Island or
No,
whatever?
well, like 3, 4, even 5, or like where DLC wasn't really as commonplace for Pokemon back then.
Yeah,
Like,
but again, like
oh,
why put in two games when you can put in one and like it's the same money, they charge the same amount.
I know,
Like,
just be
but
nice. Just why not
anyway,
just be nice? Well, I mean, they could have not done that with 2, and they still did it. So I mean, I'm just saying, like
who
you did it
knows?
once, so why not just do it again? You know what I
Who
mean?
knows?
Like, why not? Like, who says I don't want to go to every region ever?
They were still earning their stripes, I
No, it
guess.
really was because competitive Pokemon wasn't as big of a thing yet. That's what it is,
Yeah.
and they got
Yeah.
to worry about everyone
Retention.
fucking losing their shit on the when something goes awry in the competitive scene. Um. All right. Cool. Well, anyway, so for today's little fun icebreaker, question, it came to me yesterday, and I read up on it today. I don't know if you know about it. Maybe you have. So most people, okay, this is only applies to sports fans, unfortunately, which I am not, but it's a funny story nonetheless. Um, so the Madden franchise woes are well documented amongst those that play Madden, and David is going to test. Apparently, as of late, the latest franchise woe was hit, and it has deleted people's franchise saves.
No,
Do you know anything about this story, David?
I haven't heard anything
All
about
right,
it.
I'll
No.
break this down for you. So this taking place over the last maybe week or two, it seems. So around the holiday season, people there was an outage. You just couldn't log in. All right, whatever. And so they were like, in Tiburon, I don't know how you say it, EA Tiburon or whatever. They're like, we know.
Tiburon.
Tiburon? All right. Tiburon was like, we know we're gonna get it back up and running. Okay. And so people were like, okay, but people obviously didn't know at first. They don't know until they try to log in, sign in, and then it says like, oh, it's down. But it came to find out that, it was down for about 10 hours, 10, 12 hours, I believe, from like 2 p.m. to like 4 a.m. the next morning. However, though, for everyone who tried to log in between that time frame when it was down, people found out that when it went back up and people tried to, go log back in, their save was gone. Just gone. The franchise save was gone. And so people were like, WTF to burn? So like, what's going on now? And so we're now aware of the situation. But the thing is, they first said like, we suspect they were very blunt. They were like, we don't think, a lot of you guys aren't going to be able to get your save back. At most 40% will be able to get their save back. But then they went later and said 60% will get their saves back. So we're like, well, which is it? We need to know. But the thing is just like, this is just yet another big, but apparently this is like one of the worst as far as franchise issues go. I mean, losing your save, and I don't play franchise, but apparently the person writing the article said that, for those who are really dedicated to that mode, it can take, dozens, hundreds of hours to, of game time, to build your dynasty or whatever the fuck you guys call it. As a franchise guy yourself, what do you make of us, man? How do you feel?
So I'll tell you why it's not a big deal.
Oh,
ready? Yeah, it's not a big deal because no one should be fucking playing this game. There, end of conversation.
Okay, wrap it up, guys.
I mean, no, it would be extremely frustrating. So like, okay, so I play right now. I play 2K, and 2K, although their actual simulation hasn't improved in a really long time, and there's tons of stuff in the simulation that is broken. Things like when you so like I'll explain that in a second because it kind of ties into why it's actually really cool, and what has kept me playing is that, and I think I mentioned this before, in 2K now you can do this eras mode, which there's three distinct eras. There's the Magic Bird era, which is Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, so it's like the early 80s, and you can start from there. And then they have historic draft classes, which has, if you take the 2Ks ones, they have like 10 sometimes real historical players in that draft class. But then they have the 2K share, and there's some really dedicated guys that have filled out at, most of the time they filled out like 25 to 30 real guys in the draft. And then there's the Jordan era, which is the early to mid 90s, and then you have the Kobe era, which is starts with the LeBron draft of 2003. Okay. But for franchise guys like me, having all those different scenarios, I mean, you have just normal stuff of just replaying those eras, which is really fun. You have crazy things you can do, like what if LeBron played, was in the same draft as Michael Jordan, and all that sort of stuff. Really cool scenarios you can do. I'm currently turning around the Chicago Bulls of the 2000s, which was a terrible team. And through no trading and just simming, just playing with the tendency bars of the players that I have, they won the NBA championship the next year. So I have a lot of fun with it. There are still problems, like people don't progress the way they should. So like sometimes guys like Kevin Love will just be a bust for no reason. You have to tweak some of the stuff in game, or sometimes like centers will come out and they'll have a tendency to shoot threes, so their three tendency is like at 90 when it should be at 0, and just weird shit like that kind of, it's frustrating as a franchise guy because it's just more time that we have to tweak the shit that should be fixed already instead of tweaking other things that we'd like to tweak. But I say all that in that I spend way too much fucking time doing basically the same shit over and over again. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've taken the Sonics of both the 90s and the 2000s and turned them into like the biggest dynasty to ever, be in the NBA. Like, they have like 15 championships, but it's a lot of time. I've spent way too much time. My wife will say anything on that. She understands. She sat there for like 20 minutes one time, just staring at the screen as I was manipulating sliders of players back and forth, just like, oh no, this guy should have a shooting tendency of this or whatever, and she's just trying to understand it, and she's just like, I just don't get it. But yeah, I've spent hundreds of hours, and yeah, it would be really frustrating if I was like really into like one of my more restrictive franchise rebuilds where I because it's way too easy to turn around a franchise like what I said with the Bulls. So sometimes I put restrictions like I can't trade or I can't do this or that, and sometimes that takes a long time. So if I had done all that and then one day I just wake up and it's gone, like, it would be really frustrating. It's one of those things. It's akin to when you put hundreds of hours into an RPG and there's a corrupt save and you have to start over, and it's like you just don't want to play like for a while. Like, it's not just starting over. Like, that's a whole part of like a whole life that now you have to start over. So no, it'd be really frustrating. But again, people just shouldn't be playing Madden anymore. If you're a franchise guy, don't buy. Like, I cannot stress this enough. If franchise mode is your mode, stop buying Madden. Just don't. Get yourself a good computer. Buy fucking one of the older Maddens, like the newest Madden you can get on the PC. Buy that, and there are plenty of roster mods for Madden. You'll be fine. Like, just play that. It's so much better.
Is that what you're doing?
I don't have a PC like that. When I do get a PC, yeah, maybe. Actually, it'll be NCAA football that I play. But
I was thinking maybe like add maybe an old. I'm not like Madden 10 or 11. Or
I mean, I can't on my Surface. I can't play the emulator that allows me for NCAA 14. So I can't do a PS2 emulator on mine. It takes more than you think.
I mean, I'm not. I know. I was just wondering. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how powerful or not powerful your Surface is. So
it does the trick, but yeah, it can't do that now.
Okay, shame. But yeah, I get the reason why is because, like, okay, I mean, like I said, it started this Madden's franchise mode is the woes have been well documented and long standing because it will forever be overshadowed by Ultimate Team, and so. This is kind of more. This isn't just like kicking while you're down. This is kind of like throwing a nuke while you're down. Like it's just because like we're talking about saves that could have hundreds of hours potentially, and
again hundreds of hours of also like monotonous work. Like, some of those guys, I bet, took time to realistically, because like the player overalls in Madden sometimes don't make sense. So sometimes people will tweak, overall. Sometimes people will do what 2K has done for me by doing these eras things. Sometimes people will go in and edit whole rosters to make it like the 1990s, and they'll just change people's names and ratings and gear to make them look like the 90s. That's potentially not just like 100 or so, but like hundreds, even maybe 1,000 hours, depending on your dedication, to get all that just right. And then all of a sudden it just goes away.
It's gone. Gone.
Like,
yeah, it really is kind of akin to like an MMO save just being corrupted. Just one day.
Not only that. So I talk a lot about that, but also just to mention real quick, some guys play in online franchise leagues that are kind of like fantasy football leagues, they have real money on the line. Like they're playing for a pot. And if that just went away,
damn.
what are you like? Sometimes people have like hundreds or thousands of dollars in a pot for that league that year, and then just like what happens? Like, so it'd be frustrating, but just stop playing Madden.
Yeah. Did you play this year's Madden, or I guess last year's Madden?
I didn't touch it.
Did you even touch it? Yeah.
No, I have no idea.
I mean, yeah, from what I remember hearing, nothing really changed this year.
Nope.
In particular.
Never does.
Madden 15 though was pretty awesome.
What?
Oh. At least we'll always have that. At least we will always have that. But yeah, so that was kind of the one I want to talk about today. It kind of just caught my eye. I saw the articles today, ignored it, but I was like, I'm gonna have to read this just for David. Just for David. I need to. I'm surprised it didn't come across your thing. Like anything Madden, you just let it just go right by you now.
I mean, I don't really get gaming news stuff really ever.
Huh. Well, yeah, and I mean, Gamers doesn't really cover sports stuff that often. So
no, they're not.
All right. Well, anyway, so we're gonna kind of get into the main thing here. We're gonna have to do a little intro in retrospective. There we go. Or reflection. There we go. Whatever word you want to use. So it's New Year. 23 is upon us. This is the first podcast of the new year for the channel. And I was thinking, let's talk about games that we played last year, 2022, and what we're looking forward to for this year of 2023. So, David, what were some of the better games that you played last year that you can actually remember?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but I've been really busy for at least half of this year with probably the hardest semester that I've had with school. So I haven't really played anything outside of comfort gaming for me, which is 2K, MLB kind of stuff. So I would probably have to say the top game that I played was Elden Ring. Elden Ring was
you did play Elden Ring.
Was great. I very much enjoyed Elden Ring. It was fun to see like the whole fucking world just go nuts over a game series that I've been playing for a really long time that hasn't gotten, it's been big, but not worldwide coverage big. So that, let's see. I think me and my wife played a lot of Stardew Valley this year. It was last year? Okay, my bad. It was last year.
I swear you mentioned it.
I mean, we probably did play it a little bit this year, but it was last year that we played just the shit out of it. But stuff like that still, we probably did a little bit. So that was fun. It's always fun to play.
You played Hades.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fuck. I forgot about Hades. Okay.
I know you forgot about it. You would have said it if you didn't.
Hades and Elden Ring, honestly, are like neck and neck. Like, I'm really looking forward to Hades 2. That's my pick. That's my pick for upcoming, which is the next part of this. But yeah, so Hades and Elden Ring are. Yes, and my wife also mentioned, and I need to go back and finish it because here's David not fucking finishing games. I played Persona 5 when it came up on Xbox Game Pass.
Oh yeah,
I played the shit out of that. I'm like this close to finishing, and I fucking took a break from it and haven't gone back.
Did you finish? Did you finish Elden Ring?
No, no.
I didn't think you did. I didn't think you did,
and I didn't finish it. But yeah, so yeah, I would say probably in order. If I had to put them in order, I'd put Elden Ring, followed very closely by Hades, and then Persona.
It was really fun watching. You mentioned the whole world, falling in love with Elden Ring. It was also fun watching the whole world realize that they weren't as good as game as they thought they were. So that was fun for me to watch.
Just watching people get wrecked by the tree knight, just over and over again.
People realize that people were like, oh, let me try out this Elden Ring, and then like wham, and they're like, is it supposed to be this hard? And it's like, yeah, man, where the fuck you been?
Fucking get good.
Fucking get good. I remember that. Like that was like the big controversy of the game
Yeah.
because people were bitching and moaning because they were just like, what? Because they weren't used to games like this. And it was like, man, where you been? Where have you been? You're lucky this isn't fucking Bloodborne, so shut your damn mouth.
True.
Because it's still supposed to be the most accessible Souls game out of them all.
Yeah, I think it is
From
just
what people
because
say.
you can choose your path, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to, hit your head against a boss until you either break yourself, break your controller, or beat the boss. This one, like if you're having a hard time with a boss, you can go and go on another path, and maybe you
Go somewhere else.
find a boss that is, because like with Elden Ring and Dark Souls games, like there's an element to the game difficulty being the game itself, but also you as a player,
Mm-hmm.
and how good you are against certain bosses, because certain bosses demand that you dodge more. Other bosses that have different strategies. So if in the Dark Souls game, if you get to a boss where the game's like, oh yeah, all that dodge rolling you've been doing, yeah, fuck you and your dodge
Yeah.
rolls.
Fuck you
like
and your dodge roll.
here's a fucking square that you get to stand on as a lava demon just comes and swipes the whole fucking thing. Like no dodge rolling there. But in Elden Ring, you can go away and find a boss that it fits your style at that time or skill level. So
Mm-hmm.
it definitely is accessible, but still not in a normal way.
Yeah, there's way more flexibility with how you want your character to be, and
Yeah.
you have like the magic gauges back because in Demon Souls, yes, dedicated magic bar, so that's part of the reason why I think magic was so broken, um, in that game because it wasn't based on just how many particular uses you may have for a particular spell. No, it's just like as long as that bar has enough MP in it, go ham. That's all that matters, and of course you have items that can replenish it.
Yeah.
So, and I took advantage of that for damn sure. But in Dark Souls, they got rid of that. Yes, there's spells, but now it's limited to a certain number of predetermined amount of uses. Yes, you can have a ring or whatever that might give you more uses, and yeah, those rings that can increase your magic damage, but it's not exactly the same. It's just
Mm.
like the potential for infinite spam is severely neutered in Dark Souls. So obviously that
Yeah.
went away, but now it's back in Elden Ring, and so that's all back again. I mean, that's why Magic was such a fucking
Yeah.
broken build
I
in the
I
beginning
got
when the game
through
launched.
all of the game with the Kamehameha cheese.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Every cheese was mainly magic cheese because
oh
just like
yeah,
in Demon Souls. I mean, because
yeah,
if you have if you have a bar, if you're only limited by that bar and it's items to replenish that bar, you best believe people are about to take advantage of that.
yeah,
So, but I'm saying like it was still the most accessible Souls game, but obviously it's still a Souls game.
yeah.
So people were just like, "Oh," man. I was like, "Man, shut the fuck up! You better be happy this isn't Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne, you piece of shit. Get good." So yeah, it was just real fun to watch everyone bitch, moan, and complain because they're actually playing a tough game. But yeah, for me, so Neo obviously goes up there. Neo 1 remaster on PS5. The only other dedicated PS5 game I own besides Ratchet and Clank Rift in
Which
Time.
is
Uh,
ridiculous still for me, but
it's
you,
because
you do you, bro. You do you.
because it's because if I have a
You can
PS4 already,
fucking play God of War 2 on a PlayStation 5 and choose not to, and I
I
hold that
could,
against you. I
I
fucking
could,
hold that against you.
but I don't
I
even have
can't.
either. I don't have either, so it's
You're.
fine.
Oh my god. Anyway.
I'm busy. I don't got time for that. I don't got time for Ragnarok. Leave me alone. um, so yeah, so playing Neo 1 again has been a year-long endeavor, which for those who don't know, I've been chronicling that. I just got done with that like a month ago with the Abyss mode. Never ever thought I would beat the Abyss mode. 999 goddamn floors, but I did it. And I even did the last floor by myself. Yeah, it was wild. So that was a lot of fun to go back and just relive that because I still remember playing that um gosh, like I think in 2019 on my PS4 for the first time, and it just enthralled and enwrapped. I hadn't been enthralled with a game that hard in a long time, and I really haven't yet. Maybe Neo 2, but like still, it's just oh my gosh. So I'm holding off on Neo 2 as long as I can because like that's gonna be another. forever time sink. I don't even want to look at how many hours I put in Neo 1. It's in the several hundreds. I don't even want to look at it. It is recorded, but I don't want to look at it. It's gonna be disgusting. But yeah, so Neo 1 for damn sure. Replaying Ratchet and Clank has been amazing on a PS5. It's just like, yes. I mean, yes, it's stream. And I actually have ran into issues if I'm playing during the day and people are home. I ran into way more connection issues than if I'm playing at night because more people are in the house using the internet and shit like that, whatever. Granted, I also was playing it during like winter break. I'm pretty sure I was also could have been it too. But it's just been great to play them again. Wonderful time playing those. Stray has been like my surprise hit of the year. I played that on PS4 and PS5. That was wild. Just like, how the fuck did they do it? Like, it's more of just like, how did they do this? Like, you made a compelling game as a cat where no one actually verbally says things. The cat can't talk, duh. But like all the robots that you come across, they have their own garbled language that you have your robot companion could translate for you. But that's it. They somehow made a pretty good game that if there was a sequel, I would buy it or play it or whatever have you if it was free on PlayStation Plus or whatever. I think there is a physical release for that game. I might have to buy that. Anyways, yeah, so that was a lot of fun to play this year. Horizon Zero Dawn, I finally fucking played that last year. I played that after I played that in April. I played it when I went to visit you. I was playing it while I was visiting you in April, and by that point, Forbidden West has already came out, and I was now finally playing Zero Dawn. So that was a lot of fun. Really good game. The expansion was also great. A lot of fun. I mean, I just love the bow combat. It was just wonderful. That's how you do bow combat, right? Oh gosh, trying to think here. Can I also play like a whole bunch of like small scale kind of whatever games that or whatever. So I'm trying to think. What was that like another really good? Okay, maybe you and Serena might be interested in this, but do you remember the game called Haven by any chance? It came out like a year or two ago. It's a game like it's built for couples. I think that's what they were tagging it as. More for her to just maybe watch you play because the interactions between the two characters are actually really it's like literally straight out of a fucking manga. I'm not even gonna lie to you, or like an anime. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Not a good game to play if you're freshly single though. Not a good game for that. But I did that like an idiot.
F in the chat for
Yeah.
RJ. F's in the chat
Yeah,
for RJ.
in the chat for RJ. But yeah, but it was still a really good, sweet, endearing game that I'm sure I would have gotten way more satisfaction out of if I wasn't freshly single. If I was playing it like now, I probably would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a little too soon in retrospect, but fuck it. Gosh.
What about games coming out?
Yeah, I think it's gonna wrap it up for me for like
Yes.
what I played. But yeah, so for coming up, there's no date yet. There's no date, official date, but it's suspected that Tekken 8 will come out this year.
Yeah.
And if it does, you won't see me again. So because I'm about to fucking lose my mind. I'm gonna take the day off. I'm fucking ripping it up on Tekken 8. Like I always get excited for Tekken. Tekken is one of those few series that are near and dear to me where like new one comes out, I don't need any trailer. I don't need any hype. I don't need any convincing. I am getting that day one. I don't care. It could be they could somehow turn that into a fucking games as a service, always online. I still buy it. I can't help it. It's Tekken. I can't help it. So really, really looking forward. If Tekken comes out, we'll have to wait and see. But that is like my most highly anticipated game that isn't even announced yet. I'm excited for Dead Space remake to come out. Just not. I think I'll buy it and probably stream it just as a fun game to play. But like I'm just excited just to bring back another cult classic and be a proper remake because people are so confused on what the fuck that means, and I don't understand why people are confused. There is a clear difference between remake and remaster. But so I'm excited for another great to come back. come out. Well, to see what if it does, anything for the stagnant series. If it comes back, if EA might consider bringing it back, I don't know. Maybe they'll remake the other two, or at least two, or at
I
least number
thought I
two.
thought they were doing. I thought the remake was 1 and 2.
It's just one.
Hmm.
It's just one. It's just Dead Space one. It's not. It's not a collection.
Hmm.
I mean, come on, it's EA. Why
Oh,
would
that's
they?
true.
Why would they do that when they could release both of them separately? Yeah, and also not for a game I'm going to play, but Forspoken, I'm interested in how that game ends up doing, both critically and commercially. So, if you don't remember Forspoken, it's the game that stars the black chick,
Yeah, and
like with
she's all
magic
flipping
powers and
around
stuff.
and blowing shit up.
Yeah, yeah. I think I played the demo, and they actually call it magic parkour. Like that's what the game calls it. Um, I'm just interested to see how it does. I'm interested to see how Square Enix portrays a black American woman coming from the Bronx or whatever
Yeah.
in a game. It's kind of like new territory because black representation from Japanese creators isn't always spot on, isn't really always that great, and it's not from racism, it's just from a lack of understanding. They
Yeah.
just don't really know.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, you can look at any character creator from any Japanese based game, and the black skin tones are there's something else.
I
I'll
mean,
just say
it's not
that.
even like the skin tones. Like the skin tones, I don't
Well,
give
yeah,
a
but I'm
fuck.
just like
It's the
that's just the
facial,
basis.
like the facial structure is
Yeah,
either white or Japanese. It's not.
true,
There's no
true.
facial structure of any black culture.
It's just a
And
black
it just looks
skin,
like
literally just a
blackface.
black coloring.
Yeah.
It's just a black coloring put on top of a white or Japanese face model.
Yeah. And it just looks
And
like
yes, it doesn't look
blackface.
like blackface. Like, go back and play Dark Souls Remastered, guys. Choose the black skin option and be terrified, okay? Because it is so bad.
or the one that I
Uh,
always saw it in was Soul Calibur.
oh,
Like,
that's a good one. That's like another
yeah,
good one.
yeah.
That's another good one. Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
that's not a black person.
Unless they specifically made the black person, because like Zasa Lamel does not look like a white guy with a black coloring. He
No,
looks like a black guy.
they did that good.
Um, but unless it's like someone that they actually built from the ground up, yeah, the character creator, it looks terrible. But again, it comes from just a lack of understanding. They just barely let people in the country, far less of them interacting with black people on a regular basis, so they don't know. And I get it. But for them to take this on and make a big deal about the fact that she's from the Bronx, I'm just curious if they do it justice. Also curious to see how the game does in general. I wasn't very impressed with the demo, but I don't think they just did it. I don't think Square did a good job with the demo. It was just a bad demo in my opinion. So yeah, and a lot of people who talk, I mean, even Game Ranks, they covered it, and they weren't impressed either with the demo. Everyone who I've heard, podcast or video or whatever, who talked about this demo did not come away impressed. So I hope it ends up actually doing well, doing good. Also, it's just how often do you see a black woman in a game being the main protagonist? It's very rare when that happens. So I'm particularly invested in hoping that it does well.
Yep.
So that's kind of the big ones for me. A lot of other things I'm just not interested in, like Hogwarts. I don't think it doesn't look impressive to me. Even if it does well, great, but it doesn't look impressive to me. Street Fighter, not a Street Fighter guy. Dead Island, don't really care that much about it. I don't know if Hades 2 even has a release date. I don't know if it got one. So I don't even, but whatever. Anyways, that's it for me. What do you most like? Besides Hades 2, what else are you excited for?
Hades 2, the new Star Wars game. I can't remember who's making it, but it's not
Respawn.
EA. Yeah. Well, no. I guess it is EA.
Yeah, it's still EA. They're publishing it, but Respawn's the follow-up to Fallen Order. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah.
Well, no, not that one. There's another one.
Oh.
So yes, that one also good. But there's
is it Ubisoft? I think is making one.
Let's just go with some internet.
Oh, we're talking about the KOTOR remake.
I mean that too. I'm also looking forward to.
Which is a PS5 exclusive, by the way. At least for a while. At least for a little while.
Star Wars game.
Okay, so not Respawn's sequel, but
Star Wars Eclipse,
yeah, you're right.
Or Ragtag, one of these. There's a new one coming out.
Isn't there one made by Amy Hennig from Uncharted? Her
There's
team, I think, is making
I
one.
think there's one of these two ones, but yeah. So the new Star Wars, just because I love the Star Wars universe, and it's so ripe for a good game, and they just haven't really had much. I mean, they
Did you not
had
like Fallen Order?
what
Did you not like Fallen Order?
I did. No, I did. I thought that because I was so into Dark Souls, I think killed it for me a little bit because it's a
Hmm.
good game, but the Dark Souls, like the Dark Souls inspired elements of that game, which is the gameplay, is
Yeah.
not up to the standard of Dark Souls. So it just in that element, it felt underbaked for me. Although I
Mm.
can't acknowledge that it was a good game with a good storyline. It was very playable. It's probably just like an A minus to Dark Souls A plus kind of thing. So there's that. And that's about it. Like I haven't been keeping up on it just because of my schedule and stuff like that. There's been games here or there. There's a lot of games that I'm going to be interested in. Like, hey, if it's good, then awesome. If Humankind was a 6x simulation game in the or a five hex whatever the Sid Meier's Civilization game kind of thing.
Hmm.
It was
Okay.
going to come to the Xbox, and then it got delayed indefinitely. And I'm really interested in that game. I was on the PC, but my Surface was not strong enough to play it. I bought it, and I lowered all of the settings, and it still wouldn't work. So
Even on potato mode, you still
even
couldn't
on
play it.
potato mode, like
Oh man.
it looked like just like literal just character models, like little just like didn't have they were like didn't have any like details. They were just like and it didn't work. So I was really looking forward to it being on the Xbox One, but then it got delayed indefinitely. So we'll see if that comes out. If that comes out, I'll be really excited for that as well. Um, and yeah,
What about the
that's
big one? The big one. The
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 big one.
the enchilada.
You got the
Starfield's supposed to
one.
come out this year.
What?
Starfield.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I keep on forgetting. Honestly, I don't know if that's a good sign or not. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it'll be free for me to play, so I definitely won't have to potentially sink any money into another Fallout 76 or even Fallout 4. I think what I want out of that game is to be at the level of Fallout 4 at least, because Fallout 4 was a very playable good RPG. It just wasn't nearly as good as even Fallout 3. Or, I would say like in Bethesda's like recent history, I would say so you have 76 way at the bottom, and then you have Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Elder Scrolls 5, and then way at the top is New Vegas for me personally. I did not play Oblivion, which is probably somewhere in between. For most people, I would guess that it's probably either right below or right above Fallout 3 in that line is what I understand from people. Um, but yeah, so no, I am looking forward to Starfield. I just don't want to get too excited for it, I guess, just because I got uber excited for Fallout 4, and it kind of that excitement with it being kind of just less than what it should have been kind of tainted that game for me. But
So you're learning. I've taught you well.
that I
About
just have
damn time. It's
that
about
I
damn
time I
time.
just don't have time for video games anymore, really.
No, it's about damn time you've been listening to me. You gotta be jaded. You can't go in with hype no more. You
I don't
gotta
know. I don't know
expect
if
the
I want to be
worst.
as jaded as you are, but
You gotta
I mean, maybe
you
a little
gotta
bit
you can
more.
only be excited for the things that you know bona fide will be good. At least the games that I do get excited for, they are almost always good. See, and that's why. That's why you stay jaded, because only the greats won't let you down. Like the few games, like I mean, some of them are dormant and won't even, so we won't even like see them. But like
Yeah.
my games, Mirror's Edge, Ratchet and Clank, the platformers, Tony Hawk, Spyro, Crash. Oh, besides Crash 4, Crash 4, but everything else like usually good stuff. So But anyways, so we're going to wrap this up, guys. David has food to eat. I wish I had food to eat.
Baked potatoes.
Ooh, baked potatoes. I like
With
that.
bacon and sour cream and everything.
We'll get the works. All
Yeah.
right. I don't have that. But but what I do have is the
Baked
ending of this
potatoes are
podcast.
baked potatoes are not hard to cook, RJ. So
Well, I don't see you cooking it.
I could. It's one of the
Have you?
one of the few things I could cook.
All right.
And
Well,
yes,
I'll
I
have to have you
have.
show me. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you for joining us. This was the first podcast of the year. On to a new year full of maybe more guests, more fun, more friends. Hopefully, we can get some in person and live, bringing it to you in your face. But with that, like, comment, subscribe as always, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.